Greetings, everyone. How y'all doing today? I am the Moon Mama. Happy Friday. Oh my goodness. I just got finished having a really good cup of coffee. The black sesame latte. It is so delicious. And I just had a bowl of congee for breakfast this morning. Congee is jasmine rice made into like a porridge, and you put like spices in it, and they have mushrooms and shallots in it, and it's really good. So today is Venus Day, and there's so much going on right now. We are on the threshold of the sun moving from Leo into Virgo. This Leo season has been highly transformational because Mercury has been retrograde in Leo. You love the glasses. Thank you for that. I have been working to not have to need them because I find that when I put them on, then my eyes rely on them. And something is going on in my vision right now because Uranus is conjunct my moon in Gemini. So there are moments during the day where my vision gets blurry. And so I've been bringing my glasses around just to have them when that occurs. But I find them as a crutch. I find that they are actually a hindrance to what it is that I'm really up to. And I'm using them because I sort of need them at this moment. That's what they're for. Anyway, so thank you for that. So today is a Venus day, and today is the day that I ask for donations. If you gain value from this work, Venus is about reciprocity, and everything in our reality is reciprocity or cause and effect in some way. Saturn is cause and effect, which is like karma, the momentum. I really love to talk about these definitions so that we understand the difference in them because they are different. And so Saturn is this built up momentum. It's like a car that's going really, really fast. And that's the momentum. And because the car is going fast, maybe something, there's another car that's going to cut in front of it, but because it's already going at that momentum, it hits that car because that momentum was in such a intensity already, and that is karma. And we inherit that from our families. That we create our own, but we also are born into a momentum that is already in place from our family system. And the work as an individual with your Saturn's return is to be able to, when you turn 29, is to be able to see what that momentum was. What have you inherited? What is in your life that you were sort of born into that becomes something you have to contend with? That's the momentum of these, right? So that could be a momentum of disease, a momentum of emotional challenges, a momentum of scarcity. It could be also momentums of things that are beneficial, like a momentum of health, a momentum of like spiritual connection, a momentum of education. Like this energy of momentum and karma is not just negative, it's just cause and effect. So that's karma, which we talk about more on Saturdays because it's ruled by Saturn. But karma and reciprocity can kind of look alike, right? They kind of look alike, right? So Venus is about reciprocity. And Venus is not about momentum in the same way Saturn is, karma. Venus is, you put this out, you get this back. It's a bit of a tit for tat, right? It's a reciprocity. And so on Venus Day, I ask for reciprocity because I'm putting something out, and in order for it to root or have legs or live, I have to acknowledge the value of it. I have to acknowledge that what I'm offering is valuable. And so that's why I say, if this is valuable to you, I invite you to donate. And you can do that at my Cash App, which is $Monique Ruffin, or at my Venmo, which is @Monique-Ruffin, or at PayPal, MoniqueCRuffin.com. Okay, so thank you in advance for any donations. I really appreciate it. or just say thank you, or send me your music playlist. All the reciprocity works. All of it is acceptable. So thank you. So today is a Venus day, and Venus is currently at the 26th degree of Cancer. So Venus in Cancer, Cancer is our home, our intuition. It's how we nurture ourselves. And we learn how to nurture ourselves or to neglect ourselves in our home experiences. So if you were in a home where there was neglect, your Cancer energy can source nurturance from situations that are not really beneficial to you. For me, for instance, I grew up in a home where I was taught that other people's approval of me created safety for me. Other people's approval of me created safety for me because I grew up in an environment where there was a great deal of neglect. So I had to learn to negotiate that environment like a stealth, like I had to just know, like, okay, my mother has had 3 drinks. She is no longer safe. How do I know that my mother's had 3 drinks? Because I can hear the slur in the tone of her voice. Like I had to become like a Spidey person, right? Oh, my father is beginning to stomp around the house. That means that he is angry with my mother. It's not because he's saying it, it's because I can hear the pressure that he is putting on the floor that lets me know he is angry. And that means within the next hour or so, it's about to be Armageddon in this motherfucker, right? That's how I learned how to create safety in my environment by scanning the people in my environment to see their temperature, and their temperature meant I was safe or not. Now, as an adult, I've been doing that shit for years. I have been basing how I show up on my ability to scan others to see who they are, comparing myself, judging myself, judging others, all of that. And now that Venus is in Cancer and we are in this energy of a new reality, that those old patterns I get to begin to transform by taking responsibility for what really nurtures me. No longer depending upon others and their moods or their trauma to determine my own level of self-acceptance, love, safety. See, this shit is very, very subtle. Am I making sense here? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Because this is the stuff that we don't talk about out loud, like what is really motivating people's behaviors and ways of being based upon their childhood patterning. Because what happens is your brain gets patterned to your environment, and your behaviors become an extension of what you learned in your environment. And until you see yourself in the act of it, those patterns will stick. Those patterns will live in you and continue to flourish and blossom more of that behavior until you say, I'm going to plant a new seed. So we also have today, so Venus in Cancer at the 26th degree, which is this ability to really begin to nurture yourself. And that requires identifying how you have been nurturing yourself, right? So are you emotionally eating? Are you emotionally suppressing your emotions? Because if you say how you really feel, people are going to reject it, right? Like, what are the things you're doing with the self? With the self, not with the other, because the other is really just a reflection of you. So for me, if I have been carrying around codes and patterns of gauging my sense of self, my sense of safety upon others' frequencies and ways of being, that has created a self-abandonment. That, so it's like, oh, if they're happy, then I'm safe. I'm determining my safety based upon somebody else's emotional well-being or emotional whatever, right? So now I'm beginning to turn around and see that I am an individual. I am an individual. And let me tell y'all, I'm 56 years old doing this shit. I am an individual. My emotional well-being is no longer based upon someone else's internal temperature. But it's not enough to just say it. What I had to do is recognize that I'm doing it, like recognize it, and then do the rituals and the practices to separate myself from the old behavior so that I can actually in real time course correct it. In real time notice, like, oh, so for instance, one of the things that I'm seeing in me is, I do this spiritual work and I am devoted to this spiritual work. I live in Los Angeles. We all live in a very capitalistic system that co-ops everything with dollar value. That does something in me that feels out of alignment. It feels like I'm selling God's tools. It really does. So all the time that I have been doing this spiritual work, I have always been in deep prayer about how much things should cost. What is the cost that I make my services available that feel aligned with what divinely is trying to come through me? And that's just me. Everybody else is different. But I have to be true to my way. So what I charge for something, like for a long time, most of my services were like $77 or $111. And I've been doing this work for 15 years. Only in like the last year or so have I really increased my prices to things like $185 or, things like that. And I've created higher market items like packages that are like, $2,000. But all of that has come through me being in prayer and ritual to ask my higher self, what feels aligned? I'm not here to get capitalistic rich off of the people that I'm in service to. And some of that is also because I grew up in a family. We had a church. My grandfather was the minister of my great-grandfather was the minister of a church. And I grew up in Los Angeles where I've seen ministers with the appearance of getting rich off of their congregation. So I live in a neighborhood that's mostly black, or was mostly black, and the economy was always not that of what the peers of white people would be because of the situations in this country. And yet there will be ministers who have large congregations, driving Rolls Royces and, living very lavishly while their members are, stealing from Paul to pay Peter. And I've witnessed that, and that has felt like a huge incongruence inside of me. And because I'm inheriting a quote-unquote experience of ministry, coming from a family where ministry and spirituality was really who we were, it just always felt like, how do I do the right thing here? And so even today, as I'm still building a community, I'm always very aware of what feels like a real value, which is Venus. What feels like a real value? What feels like service? What feels like a equitable exchange? What feels righteous in the way of, I work for God. I'm not trying to get rich off of the backs and the blood of the people that I'm in service to, but I also need to eat and need to pay rent and need to do these sort of things. And so that has been a shaky ground for me. And what I'm discovering is that what I have learned in these last several years is that if I'm true and sincere in my devotion to be of service, my needs are always met. They are always met. it might not look like the way I want it to look like. It might not look like being really fluid or flush, but it looks like the work that I do works. And the depths of appreciation and the depths of appreciation and the depths of devotion that I experience and garner in these relationships with the people that I'm in service to is so valuable to me. It is so valuable to me to know that I have been of service and I have given something that actually makes a difference. And it wasn't based in how much money they paid me. It wasn't based in all these egoic things. It's literally because I'm doing the work, the practices, the devotions, the rituals to build the energy so that when I extend it to another, they get the results. And I'm more interested in results of transformation, of healing, of awakening than I am with the material gains. Though I understand the benefit of the material, right? I'm not saying that the material doesn't have value. I'm saying that I don't want to be run by the material. I want to be dictated by the spirit realm, and I've had to purify that within myself so that I'm clear that I'm doing it for the reasons that are true and right for me, and not because of what everyone else thinks. And as I've been really working with this, living in Los Angeles is a place where fame and notoriety and influence, Hollywood is here, is a thing. It's just a thing. And I mean, I don't want to try and make that be anything wrong, but I literally am always having to purify myself and test myself and ask myself deeper questions about what I'm really up to, what's really motivating me. And it's a deep work. It's a deep work. So that is Venus in Cancer, what really nurtures you. And because we're moving into the age of Aquarius, these things are individual. You cannot compare yourself to anyone else. Who I am and how I'm functioning is because of my divine codes. I can't be compared to, I'm not comparing myself because other people can do it differently. Their way is for them, but my way is for me. And so with the sun and the moon in the final degrees of Leo, Leo is about our confidence, it's about our pride, it's about our creativity, and we have spent the last 4 weeks in that energy with Mercury retrograde saying redefine, like what is really your value, what is your true creative self-expression, like taking away the capitalistic social agreements, pulling that away and determining what is your truth, not allowing the social constructs to absorb you. And as we step out of this Leo energy and into this Virgo new moon comes about what are you devoted to? What are you practicing on a daily basis? And we're going to have a new moon in Virgo, a full moon in Pisces. And this cycle that's opening up right now is the cycle that's going to push us into the new. It's literally going to open a curtain in consciousness, which is inside of you. It's going to open a curtain, and if you have been preparing yourself through ritual and practice and devotion, a new stage energetically is rising for those who are ready to step into this new way of being. But it's an internal thing first. Like you have to have been doing the internal work. It's like we are about to come into the age of Christ consciousness rising. It's truly a energy where those who have been in preparation, preparing your vessel, preparing your mind, preparing your heart, preparing your reality around you for the new energy to come in. We're moving into eclipse season, and it is going to arrive here. So if you haven't picked up the Virgo workbook, please, you can go to my website and get it at healwithmoonmama.com, or you can go into my link tree here if you're on Instagram and pick it up with Gumroad. And that workbook is going to begin starting the activation tonight. So, you know, if you just pick it up and just begin to read it through, you'll be able to get prepared for what the rituals are asking of you. So the final thing about today is just understanding that Leo season is over with and being able to take inventory of how Leo season was for you. What are the lessons that came forward? What were the growth opportunities with this Mercury retrograde? I've been hearing people talk about how tough Mercury retrograde was. And I will say that it was definitely on the edge of like, are you ready to do this new thing? And one of the things that I'll just use, like myself and the other women who are a part of Daughters of the 13 Moons here locally in Los Angeles, we planned an event and pulled it off, and it was beautiful. And what I learned in that was that the vision that I have, and I have a vision of creating like an ashram, so to say, where we are women, mostly black women. This is a environment that is led and cultivated by black women who are coming together to cultivate our magic, our magic, our practices, our sense of self, our devotion, and in doing so, create an environment that is safe for other women to come into. If there's one thing that I have learned, I have been in a lot of spaces that were run by white women, a lot of spiritual spaces run by white women, and they were never safe. Never, not for black women, they weren't. Not for black women. There was always a lot of dark, shadowy stuff going on. Jealousy, competition, power struggles. It was just always, and you know, I just learned a lot being there. I just learned a lot. I learned what isn't work for me. And now that I'm creating with other black women an environment, I'm very mindful of what it is I'm up to, what I'm desiring to create, what is motivating me. I'm very mindful of that. And I have a strong intention of creating safe spaces designed by black women for all women. Creating safe spaces designed by black women for all women. Because black women, we have this thing that's unique. I can't put my finger on it. We have a thing that's unique, but if we don't cultivate it, it'll get usurped by the collective thing, because black women run the subconscious and we have not been taught. We run the creative realm and we've not been taught to value it. We've been taught that we don't have any power, that that's not enough, that, you know, what we do doesn't matter. And so we don't often hold our own signature, our own frequency well, because it's not been acknowledged. And what I'm discovering is that if I can't acknowledge it, if I can't stand by it, how can I expect somebody else to? If I can't live into what I understand as my truth, how can I expect someone else to? And the thing that I'm beginning to see is that really all I'm doing is living according to the cycles. The truth of the divine, for me, is revealed through following the cycles. You know, and that's why I know when to pull back, because the cycle is saying we're in the dark right now. That's when I know when to take action, because the cycle says it's time to act now. And I think that's the differentiation from what I see with being a black woman and other women, is that black women hold the core seeds of creation within them. And as black American women, we have been through the most devastating, traumatizing experiences, which make us powerfully strong, which make us the most diverse of all of humans. So we have the birthright to be able to hold the line of creation, to be able to stand in it. But if we're looking outside of ourselves, to people outside of ourselves, we're going to get lost. And I look to the cycle. I'm not looking to an individual person. I'm looking to the cycle to understand that the cycle is doing this, and the cycle is created by the creator. So I'm following the cycle, and other people are following something else. And my work is to support, create the environment where other Black women especially can come in and anchor themselves in the relationship to the cycle, because the cycle is always right. Nature is going to always win. That's what I understand. It's like, that's why with all this stuff going on, I'm like just waiting it out, because I'm like, nature is going to win. Nature always wins, all the time. And, you know, we, as human beings, we look at this world and we are so conditioned to want comfort. We don't understand that everything that is happening is a part of a natural cycle. So we look at things and damn them and make them wrong and make them like they don't have value, right? So because I understand the cycle, and right now we're in a cycle of mostly destruction, which is why the world looks the way it is. All these systems are falling and collapsing. People are in sheer chaos. But while there's destruction, there's also birth. It's doing one. It's a yin and a yang. It's doing this, right? So as the destruction is happening, the birth is happening. I'm aligning to the birth. I'm getting on the rhythm of the birth. I'm saying, okay, let me go this way. And it might look chaotic. It might look like, oh, what's going on? It might look, because the destruction is happening too. But because I'm on the rhythm of the birth, I'm always going to land where I'm meant to. I'm always going to be exactly where I'm meant to be, because I have aligned myself to the frequency of new life. Because I know that new life and death are happening simultaneously. So it's like, where am I going to put my attention? So I just want to encourage you to, you know, take a look at this Leo season that's about to end in like 30 minutes. And we're going to go into Virgo. The energy is going to change drastically. Leo is fire and creativity. Mercury's been retrograde there. So it's been like a lot of like transformation of the mind, maybe like disagreements and things like that. But all that was to burn off what's no longer serving. And now we go into Virgo, and it's about devotion. It's about your practices. What are you doing on a daily basis to bring your reality into existence? What have you been doing? Like, this is the graduating moment. This is the moment where, you know, you're in school and you are a high school student, and, you know, the final test, you know, you don't really know until, you know, graduation is in June, but early May, you're taking all these exams and you're getting your results, and maybe you don't really know exactly what grade you're going to get, but this is the time. This is the moment where the grades are coming out. What have you been doing? Where have you been putting your energy? What have you been focusing on? Because when this eclipse window opens up, like literally, Virgo is the divine feminine. Virgo is the creatrix of reality. She is it. She is it. She is the virgin. She belongs to no one. She belongs to herself and the divine. That is the thing about Virgo that people don't really get. Like, she is sitting at the hand of the creator. The part that is actually creating, not the finished product. She is in the creating of the product, right? So whatever you have been doing has already been creative. And when this new moon comes in tonight at the 0 degree, that pure degree of Virgo, it's going to open up what you've been opening up to. And then that full moon is coming in 2 weeks in Pisces and with the North Node. So whatever your imagination has been, whatever you've been ruminating on in your imagination, it's coming into manifestation. And then we're going to have another new moon in Virgo at the 29th degree, the master degree, which is a Leo degree, and then that's going to shine forth, because Virgo is the harvest season. That's what I'm saying. She is the actual creative process that brings it into form. So whatever you have been involved in is going to take a harvest. It is coming. It's about to start sprouting. And I just think that's very exciting. I think it's very exciting because it's important to understand the creative process, that it is an internal process and an external process. It's not just one-sided. And you're doing it all the time, no matter what you're thinking. If you think you're not, you are, because this is a reality that is ultimately ruled by Saturn, which is cause and effect, the momentum, right? So one of the things that I see inside of me that I've been really working to transmute is, with Venus in Cancer, Cancer is our lineage, the home, like the home you grew up in. And I grew up in Watts. I've shared with you guys before. I grew up in Watts. My mother was a prostitute. My father was a pimp. My grandmother, who was my father's mother, I grew up with my paternal grandmother, was the daughter of a preacher and very much a preacher herself. And because I was growing up in Watts at the time that I did, where all the drug violence and gang violence and then crack, all that sort of stuff came, my grandmother used to tell me things like, you're better than them, you're better than that. She would tell me that in order to help me not take the path of what was all around me. She was literally trying to protect me. But in my mind, how I took that in was, I'm better than them. Like, I'm better than a crack person. I'm better than somebody who does this. I'm better. And that superiority complex, because judgment, when you judge, like the Bible says, judge not so you won't be judged, because the judgment is a boomerang, is what it is. When you look at something and think it's wrong, or you think, that creates a boomerang effect. So all the things that I judge, like I'm better than them, I'm not a drug addict, I don't date drug dealers, I don't do this, I don't do that. All that shit boomeranged on me and came back, and I was then left to clean up what my grandmother meant as a buoy to keep me out of the energy became a trap. And so one of the things that I'm looking at right now in my own experience is where I have judged the other, believing that I'm in some way better off or different, because we are different, but different in that I'm beyond that. I couldn't end up on drugs. I'm not that. When that's what I saw my mother do, and especially when you judge your mother and you judge your parents, the things you judge in your parents it's a self-judgment. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I have been doing the work to really free myself and create new narratives around these things that people would say, of course you're better than, like we might look at it and go, of course you're better than a drug. No, because everything is one. The law of oneness here supersedes all these ideas of separation. I'm no different than the person who's taking crack. I'm no different than the MAGA person. I'm no better than, I'm not, because everything is God. Everything is one thing. And because of that, anything I reject or judge becomes super highlighted in my experience. That becomes like a trap. So I'm using this eclipse cycle right now to dissolve those narratives that I have held in my mind that say separation, that I'm not like that because that's not what's real here. And I was telling you guys, go look at my video yesterday. For those of us who are melanated in black bodies here in America, because we have endured the most devastating, traumatizing human experience, it means we have the most power, the most space, the most capacity to transmute this stuff. And unless I look at it as a gift, as an opportunity to gain more power, if I'm judging it and saying that's wrong, I cannot receive the benefit of the gift. In order to receive the benefit of what we have endured for the last 500 years, we must move into neutrality of it. But that is a lot of work, or it can be. The trauma is real. It's really in the body. You really are holding centuries of trauma from women and men who were beaten and stolen and eaten and raped. And that's really real, right? So you can't just, the body remembers. So the work is to transmute the emotion in it, to transmute the emotion without narrating it as if it was something wrong. It just is what it was. It wasn't wrong. It was just what it was. And what has helped me in following the cycles, the language of God, is that I understand that the universe uses everything. The universe doesn't say that is, we'll take that, but we won't take that. The universe says that will serve in this way, and this will serve in this way. And everything has timing. Everything isn't happening at all the time, but everything serves to some degree. And so if I'm willing to see it that way in a black woman's body, as a black person in America, if I can say what my ancestors endured served me in some way, how is that being revealed in my life now? How can I benefit from what my ancestors endured? How can I benefit from the karma? How can it bless me? How can it be utilized in my experience? How can I alchemize it without the lens of judgment? But the reason I can have this conversation right now in the way that I'm doing it is because I have spent years combing it out and looking at it and analyzing it and reassigning it, right? But because I have done it, it's available to everybody, because when one person can access it, everyone can access it. Why? Because of the laws of oneness. Because of the laws of oneness. That's how connected we are. That's how connected we are. And as we are moving into the age of Aquarius and through this eclipse center, our reality, I want you guys to, I say it every day, the reality is really changing. It is changing. And I know that we're all experiencing it, but it is going to get rapid. The world that we're moving into, we have never seen before. And I'm just reading the astrology. I can't tell you what that's going to outpicture as, but I do know that who we have known ourselves to be is a very limited perspective of who we really are. It's a very limited perspective of who we really are, and who we really are is coming online now because the Earth's relationship to the sun and the light that's coming in. So that is what we're up to. That's what I'm up to. And so if you need support, I encourage you, like I said, pick up the Virgo workbook. You can do that at my website, healwithmoonmama.com, or you can do it in my link tree here at on Instagram. I encourage you to share the video if you feel called to do that. And yeah, we made it through Leo season. We made it through Mercury retrograde. There's still actually a week, like 3 or 4 days left of the retrograde before it's actually complete. And now we're going into eclipse season. So we're going to really ride this wave into a whole new way of being. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. I'm the Moon Mama. I love y'all. Bye-bye.